I lost my virginity when I was a teenager, not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I had to. And unfortunately, I feel like this is something that happens to a lot of women, but it's something that we don't talk about enough. I feel like the problem is when it comes to becoming intimate, it's a very taboo topic within the women community. It's something that's not talked about. It's something that's very hush hush. And unfortunately, this leads a lot of young girls to be confused when it comes to their body and what they want to do with it. And a lot of times it causes a lot of young women to get direction from a lot of young men that also do not understand women's bodies. And this is because when it comes to men, becoming intimate is something that's talked about at a very young age. It's even laughed about. It's comical. They're taught how to protect themselves. They're taught how to please themselves. All these different things that we are not only not talked about as women, but it's also something that if you talk about it as a woman, you are kind of looked down upon. You're looked to be scandalous. You're looked to be nasty and all these things that honestly, I feel like aren't good. So in today's video, I want to talk to anyone who is thinking about, doing it for the first time and becoming intimate, or someone that recently did, and just give any advice that I can on this topic. Now, first, as I said in the beginning of the video, my first time, it wasn't really because I wanted to. Now, I was not forced to, disclaimer, I just want to say that, but I feel like I was pressured to in so many different ways. One, I was pressured by society. I feel like it's a topic that's not talked about, but it's surrounding us. We hear about it in the music. We hear about it on TV. We literally know how children are born, and we see all these people in our family that have children, including our parents. But it's something that's not talked about. And so I kind of felt like I couldn't be accepted into that society. I kind of felt like I couldn't talk about this thing because I hadn't entered it yet. And I felt like the only way to enter it, which is so crazy, but was from a man. I felt like a boy had to say that he wanted to be with me in order for me to enter society, because women did not talk to me about it, but obviously I knew women were doing it. And so I felt like it was a thing of, once I do this thing, I'll be accepted. Once I do this thing, I would essentially be considered a woman. Another thing is too, some of my peers were doing this thing, and it just felt like it was something you just do. I really didn't see it honestly even being that important, because people talked about it on the sly so much that it just seemed like, okay, this is just something that happens, and then like it's not that big of a deal. You just find a guy that wants to do it with you, and then you do it. And so it just felt like a pressure of like, it's this time for me to do it. It's the person wants to do it with me, and it's just kind of like, it's normal. Everybody does it. Like, don't be childish, like just do it. And then also with the guy, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel a bit of pressure as well, because I knew that he wanted to do it. He expressed it, and it was just this thing of, like I said before, feeling like I have to wait for him to invite me to do it. It wasn't a thing, even a question, I'm gonna be honest, of me feeling like I can tell him even kind of really no. It wasn't a thing, not even really no, but it was a thing of like me not feeling like I have to wait. Like, what's the point of waiting? I thought your waiting period was honestly until a guy wanted to do it with you. Like, because no one had ever talked to me about a waiting period. No one ever talked about me like when I should do it or anything like that. So I just felt like I took all of my direction from him. And then it was another thing to please him. I really liked this guy, and I felt like, this is what you do when you like guys. And I felt like it was a thing, if anything, it might make him even like me more, because this shows that he really cares about me. Like, I really thought this was his way of showing that he cared about me. And it's so crazy, because I was giving something to him. I was giving something to him that I can never get back. I was giving something to him that's one of the most valuable pieces of me, but I felt like I was doing it to please him. I felt like, if anything, he was giving something to me. He was caring about me. He was showing me that he wanted to be with me. Like, it was just so crazy. And so I want to talk to some women about how to know when it's time, because I wish that it was something that was talked about more with me before that experience. The first thing I would say is, it's very imperative to make sure that you truly want to do it with that individual. Me personally, like I said, I would have waited, because now looking back at it, I knew that that person didn't truly care about me like that. Honestly, I knew I wasn't going to end up with that person, but it felt like a thing if he wanted to do it with me. So like, I should be happy, right? And I think a lot of times too, especially as younger women, it's this thing of like, okay, well, I'm in a relationship with him, or I really like this guy, or I want this guy to ask me to be in a relationship. And I feel like it should be a reciprocated thing. You have to understand that you need to value yourself enough to know you are giving him something that you can never get back. You are giving him essentially a piece of you that you can never give to someone else. Like, don't look at it as not being special. I think sometimes too, like, I didn't want to seem like it would be too magical, because I felt like that would be childish, but it is. Like, it really is something that should be that respected. It should be something that is that cared about, that when it is this person, understand they should be giving you something back too. They should be giving you respect. They should be giving you communication, like whatever you want out of someone that you truly care about. Take away the title, take away the boyfriend, take away he wants to be with you, take away all that other stuff. Do you genuinely like this person? Like, do you feel like it's a reciprocation of respect? Do you feel like this person genuinely cares about you? How does this person make you feel? Like, I genuinely wish someone would have asked me that, because that person didn't really make me feel good about myself. Unless I was in their presence and they were giving me attention, I felt good because they were giving me attention. But like, outside of that, it wasn't really like this person genuinely gives me good conversation. This person genuinely has told me out of their mouth. That's another thing too. Make sure this person tells you out of your mouth, I want to be with you. Make sure this person asks you, hey, will you be my girlfriend? If this person is not telling you that they want to be with you, do not assume that they're going to want to be with you after it happens. And do not assume that, oh, just because he start calling you his girl, he wants to be with you. Listen, if he's not grown enough to ask you to be his girlfriend, if he's not grown enough to ask you to be in a relationship with him, then he's not grown enough to be the person that you have that with your first time. Because that's very imperative. The reason why is because, like I said, you're never going to forget this experience. And I've had friends who've had somewhat traumatic experiences their first time because the person did not respect them, because the person genuinely did not care about them. And every time they think about their first time, they think of this person. And also when they think of this person, they think of that experience. Because I personally feel like, and this is just me, no matter how many people you are with after that, you will never forget your first time. And so it can be a great memory, or it could be something that you genuinely look back at and you cringe and you just feel like, why did I do that? And another way to think of you really like this person, imagine if the next day, for whatever reason, you guys were to separate and you guys were on good terms. Let's say he had to move or you had to move. It wasn't bad terms. Would that next day you regret that? Like, if you genuinely feel like, dang, maybe I shouldn't have done it with that person. Dang, I wish I never did it with that person. That means you probably don't care about that person like that enough. Like, genuinely that person. You probably really like the relationship. You probably really think he's cute. You probably really like outside things. But you inside don't really think that that's the right choice. And it's okay. Even sometimes you could be in a relationship with somebody and be like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to do it with this person. And I promise you, if you feel that way, wait. Going off of that, make sure that this is something that you want to do. Like, for me, it wasn't something that, even the day of, if we're really going to be honest with you, it wasn't something that I planned. It was something of a sense of, he asked me and I said yes, because I felt like, okay, well, we're here and he asked me and this is something that I should do. I always say, especially for your first time, make sure it is planned. I know a lot of people see the movies and you see the TV shows and it's this thing of, oh, it just happened and it was so magical and it just flowed. Plan it out. I would say plan it out for your first time, especially because, like I said, this is something that you will never forget. And you do not want it to be a thing if you just gave it away. Like, think about this analogy. Imagine your friend was to come to your birthday party and she was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to get you a gift. And she just gives you the watch off of her arm. How would you feel? Me, I would feel like, dang, you don't even care about me. Dang, you don't even respect me enough. Dang, like, I'm not even worthy enough for you to get me a gift before. But imagine another friend who comes with a new watch inside of a box that's wrapped up in, wrapping paper that has a nice bow on it. What does that show you? That person cares about you enough. And so treat your body like that. Wrap it up in a bow. Like, don't feel childish. A lot of people, even the guy, may sometimes make you feel childish. Oh, you're planning this. Oh, it should be normal. Oh, it doesn't. Listen. The first time you ride a bike, you use training wheels. Why? Because you don't know how to ride that bike yet. Okay? Have the same thing. Like, you've never done this thing before. And it's okay. You don't have to be, sometimes feel like, oh, I'm childish. I'm not a grown woman. No, it's okay to plan your first time and say, I care about my body so much. I want this to be a great experience to remember. I don't want to put it inside of his hands and let him create what kind of experience he wants, because half the time he don't even know what he's doing. Okay, so I think that's another thing too, but just being comfortable. And if you feel like, maybe I shouldn't, or I don't know if I'm ready, or I don't know, then don't do it. Because I feel like when you are ready, you will know that you're ready. You will genuinely feel like you're ready. And I think it also will be a feeling of, I really want to give this to this person. I think a lot of times too, a lot of young women do it with the type of wanting to get something from him, whether it's a relationship, whether it's for him to care about you more, whether it's him to see you as being a woman. And one thing I had to realize is, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. Women, we run the world. People try to make it seem like we don't, we do. Okay, this is our bodies. We are choosing to give our body. So at the end of the day, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be a thing of you trying to give him something to make him. No, because a lot of times, let me tell you, it's never going to get better. If you ever try to give your body in a sense of, oh, it's going to make the situation better, it's only going to get worse. Because a lot of men, I'm just going to be honest, they treat you a certain way for a certain amount of time to get what they want. And then after they got it, they just look at you as, oh, I just got it. So if you're ever doing it because you're like, oh, well, he doesn't talk to me enough, so maybe this will make him like me more. He doesn't treat me nice enough, maybe this will like me more. He hasn't asked me to be his girlfriend yet, maybe this will ask him. I promise you it's not going to work. And so do it because you genuinely want to do it. I always say, even now at being 24 years old, I don't get intimate with men that don't make me feel like I want to do it. Like a lot of men will ask you, a lot of men will vocalize it to you. If you don't make me feel like I want to give this thing to you, I'm not doing it. And I feel like a lot of women do that, especially after, their first time. They just start, because they feel like, oh, I already did it once, so I might as well, it don't really matter no more. No, it's your body. It still matters. I don't care if you've been with 1 man, 10 men, 20 men, 3 men, it still matters. Like, stop giving this thing to these men, making it feel like, oh, it's just nothing. Like, it's something. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you've been through. Like, you are still worthy. I'm so serious. And a lot of these women in these, songs, these music videos may make it seem like, oh, it's nothing. And, oh, I be with this man and I be with that man. I want you to understand a lot of these women are hurt. I promise you 95% of the women that I know wish they would have waited and wish they would have did it with someone else their first time. But nobody talks about that. So I think a lot of women don't understand that. Like a lot of these women that talk all this big talk about all they do with their bodies, a lot of those women are hurting. And it's so easy to mask it with, oh, I don't care. It's so easy to mask it with all these other things. But I want you to understand, like, this is something that you have control over. Stop allowing this man to control you. Another thing too, if you are not ready to ask this man to use protection, you are not ready at all. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's another thing too, going off of us allowing men to control the situation. Listen, I know it's going to be awkward. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not going to say it's going to be so easy. But that's another thing too. Don't let him convince you, oh, it feel better without it. Don't let him convince you, oh, I'm allergic. Oh, well, we can't. No, don't let him convince you you're childish. No, because at the end of the day, this is your body. You are the only one that is entitled to protect your body. And one thing when it comes to even someone we don't want to think about it, but you can't look at somebody and be like, this person has something. People sometimes are even born with things. They get things from their mother, and they don't even know. And statistically speaking, men are less likely to get checked than women. It's not a thing of you not, honestly, it's not even a thing of you not trusting this person. But also, I trust myself enough to know that I'm going to protect myself first. And if we do decide to move forward without it, I recommend to see some test results. But both of y'all, share both of them. But honestly, that's another thing too. Like some women are like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. Listen, if you ain't ready to ask him to use protection, you're not ready. And it doesn't matter what he say, because going back to respecting, if he respects you, if he cares about you, if he's really concerned about you enough, he can be like, you know what? I'm gonna use protection because I care about this girl so much. The men that don't care about you, the men that don't really, they're childish. Those are the men that's like, oh, I ain't doing that. Well, then you not being with me. But I don't know. I think it's just this thing of women have to understand, like, it's your body. You're the one that runs your body. Listen, they did this case study on college campuses. So they had beautiful women and beautiful men go around on the campus. The beautiful men asked women if they wanted to come back to their house and sleep with them. 95% of the time, I think it might have been 100% of the time, honestly, the women said no. They did it reverse. They had beautiful women go around and ask men, did they want to come back to their home? 90% of the men said yes. And a lot of the other 10% said no, they're in relationships. I say that to say, stop feeling like you're giving this man something. Stop feeling like, oh, it's because he's older you have to do this, because he has money, because at the end of the day, we're the ones that run this. Like, society, I think, sometimes tries to make it seem like we don't, so that we do give our bodies away, so that we do feel like, oh, well, this man deserves this thing. What did he do to deserve this thing? Like, stop doing these things for these men because you feel like you have to. Do them because you feel like you want to. I feel like the premise of being intimate a lot of time when it comes to women and men is like, oh, to please this man and to make this man happy and to make this man, listen, you need to be getting something out of this too. Like, I'm being so serious and I'm being so honest with you. And maybe I wasn't the best person to speak about this topic. I don't know. You guys can comment below how you feel. But I wanted to talk about this because I feel like generation after generation, there's so many women who have the same story as me or very similar to, I wish I would have waited. I wish I did it with someone else. I wish I would have, put myself in a better situation, whether it was mentally, whether it was physically, and I didn't. But it's because as women, we don't have these conversations with younger women. It's because as women, it's seen as this taboo topic. And a lot of, like I said, young women are getting direction from young men who not only barely know their body, but they definitely don't know ours. And so it needs to be this thing of like, of course I wish I can say, oh my gosh, wait until you're married or wait until your wedding night. That's an ideal thing. But if we're talking about statistically, that's not really what happens. And so I think there is this thing of society telling us, wait till you're married, wait till you're married. And then for the women who don't wait till they're married, they just feel like, oh, well, I already did it. I didn't wait till I was married. Or, oh, well, I'm not waiting till I'm married, so I might as well do it now because he wants to do it. No, like that's like, listen, it's about you. It's about you enjoying the experience. It's about you. And another thing too is don't feel childish. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that push me too is feeling childish. I promise you, I'm 24 years old. If a 24-year-old was to come to me right now and say that she never did it before, not gonna lie, my first reaction would be like, wow. And then my next reaction would think like, wow, like you got a lot of self-control, like you have a lot of self-discipline. You have a lot of self-worth because what that is saying to me without her even saying it is, I haven't found a man that was worthy enough of my body yet. I have not found a man that deserved me yet. And until I find a man that deserves me, I'm not giving away my body. Like that's an amazing thing. And like I said before, I do not want you to feel like you've been with too many men. I don't want you to feel like you've had too many bad experiences. It's like, oh, well, that would have been good when I was younger, but now I'm at this point where no, never feel like that. Like honestly and truly, never let nobody talk you down and make you feel like, oh, well, you might as well be with me because you already been with them. No, if you do not truly want to be with that person, if you do not truly feel there's reciprocated respect, there's reciprocated care, you don't have to question how much this person cares about you. You doesn't have to question how much this person respects you. Because a lot of times too, women, we provide so much and we get nothing back a lot of times. Honestly and truly, like I don't want to repeat everything I said again, but like do it for you, not because you want to keep somebody. Even with having kids, don't even get me started with the having kids. Like I've even known people who've had kids with people and thought, wow, he didn't change. It's only going to get worse. I always say, if this person is not respecting you, you doing it with this person is only going to make them disrespect you more. If this person is neglecting you, you doing it with this person is going to make them neglect you more. Because what you're teaching them is when they treat you bad, you will treat them better. So of course, why wouldn't they treat you worse? Because the worse I treat this girl, the better she going to treat me. So let me keep treating her bad. Like, do it with someone you feel like truly deserves it. And at the end of the day, I'm not saying that it's going to be the best experience. Like, I don't know. Everyone is different. But I'm also saying you can look back at it and say, that was my choice. And that's really what I want for all young women, to really be able to say, that was my choice. That was my decision. Put it on you. Because at the end of the day, I feel like that's an easier pill to swallow instead of being in a position like so many of us, including myself, that's like, it really wasn't my choice. It really wasn't my decision. It really wasn't me that chose to give this thing to this person that truly did not deserve it. And he was a nice person. Like, it's not even like, oh, he was rude. But he didn't deserve that. But it's because I didn't see myself as being worthy enough. It's because I didn't see that as being something that's a part of me that's so special. It's because I wasn't talked about enough. It was because I truly didn't care enough to understand that's not what I should have did. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you got any good things out of it, maybe you can share this with somebody that's, possibly going through this point in your life, or just comment below if you like this topic. I wanted to talk about it because I wanted to open up a dialogue for women and just our bodies, because it's something that's still, we're talking about it more, but it's still a little taboo. It's still not talked about. And it's like, we all go through it. We all experience these things. So we might as well talk about it. We might as well open up the dialogue so we can break this cycle of young women going through the same things that we've been going through generation after generation after generation. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to go below and sign up for my newsletter. Also go below to sign up not to sign up, but to listen to my podcast. Thank you and have a good one.